Hit well. Friel going back. Still going back. And it's gone! He got it! This may be the loudest I have ever heard Comerica Park. A 2-out solo home run for Curtis Granderson.
Swinging a fly ball center field. This is deep. Granderson is going back at the fence. He leaps and he made the catch! He just saved the game! Granderson took a 2-run game-winning home run away from Grady Sizemore. That's in the air to right field. Granderson is back at the track, at the wall, leaping, and he made that catch. Granderson timed it perfectly.
That is a great montage to introduce our next guest here on Rahimi and Harris with Russ Dorsey sitting in for Marshall Harris. He is a Chicago man. He is a 16-year veteran outfielder in Major League Baseball, a 3-time All-Star, an analyst for Major League Baseball on TBS as well. Curtis Granderson. It is always great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having it. And that hype-up video was amazing. I need to have you on my team.
Robbie would love to do that, I'm sure, because he
Yes,
grew
I would
up a
definitely
fan.
love to do that.
Yeah,
Please do.
I
That was
saw
awesome.
you snap the pic, and I know you grew up a big fan, Robbie, so this is a good moment.
Oh,
for
he's
you
living
too.
in there.
Yeah,
He's
to be
living.
quite honest, like 10-year-old, like 9-year-old me is like having the time of my life right now. So I'm happy you're here.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
See, you're always for the kids, even when you're for the former kids. But I know that's why you're here. You are so well known for your work in the community, giving back to, I also think, like the history of baseball. You recognize it in so many different ways. And this is a really interesting idea. You are involved with the National Sports Collectors Convention, and you're launching a Youth Collector Clubs initiative. And this is a really cool concept. It's a big convention in Rosemont. It comes every year. You know, the National Sports Collectors Convention. This year it's July 30th through August 3rd. And in combination with your Chicagoland Baseball and Education Academy, you're doing the Youth Collector Clubs initiative. And financial literacy is something that we all say we should have learned so much more of in school. To have this concept, tell us how this is going to work.
It's really exciting. As a UIC grad, I was a business major, and one of the courses that they offered was entrepreneurial studies, creating your own business. That was in 2002. Fast forward to where we are now, starting your own business can happen in so many different ways, and partnering with the National with sports cards. That's what I collected when I was a kid, and it's on the rise now, and you can get into this business in so many different ways by following your favorite teams, your favorite players, your favorite leagues, and it can be introduced to kids of all ages. And now you don't have to open up a sports card shop out of your parents' garage or down the street at the local mini mall. You could do it from your phone. And the cool thing about it is all these skills will transfer into life. You get to see the value of your card go up and go down, when to sell it, when to buy it, what's hot, what's not. And all that will transfer into housing market, stock market, your life in general. So super excited to partner with the National, who's going to be here in Chicago for 3 years in Rosemont for their collectors event every year. So all the big collectors are going to come out. But even if you're not a collector, you're just a sports fan, you can go out there and see some of the biggest and brightest players that have ever done it. You're a Cubs fan, PCA is going to be there. Nico Horner is going to be there. Pedro Martinez, one of my favorites, is going to be there. CC Sabathia just got put in the Hall of Fame. So you don't have to be a card collector to go to this event. But if you're there, you can get a chance to meet them, get some autographs, also pick up some cards along the way. And we've also partnered with Pristine Auction House. They have a live auction that's going on right now until August 4th. You can catch those details on our nonprofit website, cbeauic.org, to see what you can bid on, and all those proceeds help to fund this program.
I think it's super cool when you talk about collecting, because it seems like an activity that can connect generations, right? Older generations to younger generations. And we're starting to see, I go into clubhouses and guys in the big leagues are collecting cards now. I know Justin Steele here with the Chicago Cubs is a guy who has really gotten big into collecting. But for you as a parent, and we're in the day and age of screens where kids are on screens a lot, how is this something that can help, the youth continue to move on of something outside of a screen?
Well, I think we also have to embrace the things that are there. The screen is not going away. So how do we utilize that screen to the point of a question that I get asked all the time by a lot of kids? How much money do you make? And a lot of parents and teachers say, don't answer that question. And I go, I'm going to answer that question.
Yeah.
You never know what that kid's motivation is. If that kid is like, I'm trying to make money and this is a way I can do it, I want to learn more, I'm going to give it to you, especially when they hear the numbers that can be done there. Of course, you're not going to start there on day one, but something that's really cool that they've done with the National is they challenge these kids. They give them $1. Tell them you get a card, you have the whole day to see if you can trade up, keep trading up to get the most valuable card by the end of the day. Some of these kids come out and they've made $100 investment off of that one card. Now, is it going to be life-changing for them? No, but it's going to be exciting. Go, wow, I can do that today. And with my device, with that screen, I can sell tonight. I can keep up. I can see the value of how things are moving up. So I'm all for embracing the things that are there versus saying, you know what, let's put it down all the time. But they will, because they're going to have to open up their packs from time to time. But they can also film themselves doing a pack reveal and partner with siblings, partner with families, partner with neighbors, all those different individuals just to keep it collective and exciting at the same time.
I also think it's important to have that real interaction with people. You know, that's what a lot of this becomes. Like a convention, you're meeting a lot of like-minded individuals. You're not just there to necessarily get autographs. You're also there to talk to people who maybe have the same interests you do. There's a lot of that in here when you talk about pricing strategies, decision making, how people talk to people. Those are skills that I think we used to think are automatic, but for kids now, that's not necessarily the case.
Think about negotiations, right? If you want to figure out the salary of your job, your house, your car, whether you're buying or selling it, I wasn't necessarily taught that. You were put in there and you figured out on the fly. Here's a great chance for kids in their teen years to figure it out versus the first time they do it, making a big life-changing decision, on what their scholarship looks like, what their house looks like, what their car looks like. And all of a sudden they make a bad decision because no one taught them, where we can make a little mistake on a sports trading card. Like, oh, I have a Juan Soto. That's a Yankee card. I thought the value was going to hold when he got traded or when he signed with the Mets. I sold it too soon. And now I found out. I learned on the fly, and all that stuff can continue to build in them, and they can learn so much more than we could at that age, with something so cool and so fun as trading cards, something that I collected as a kid and my parents still have to this day.
Was there something for you as an athlete where people try to come up to you, hey man, I got this idea, this business idea? Was that something that you always wanted to do, knowing that, okay, I'm going to have an opportunity to do some things and make my money work for me as an athlete? Or is that something that as you got into the big leagues, like, okay, maybe I should start thinking about this a little bit more?
There's a lot of ideas that come at me and they continue to keep coming. I think that comes with the territory. I think the biggest thing that I've learned across like my time as a student athlete and in the professional ranks is, okay, what information are you giving me? We all got great ideas. I got a bunch of great ideas too, but also what's the backdrop that you have to help support that? One of the first investments I did was with the 50/50 group here in Chicago. And when those two individuals, Scott Weiner and Greg Moore, came up to me, it wasn't people that said, hey, I know how to make a good pizza. They said, I've served, I've managed, I've hosted, I've cooked, I've cleaned, I've worked at Gibson's, I've worked at Hugo's Frog, I've worked in Vegas, I've done all these things. So the criteria matched, and I said, I can get behind that. But you'll be surprised at how many of those opportunities come at you and say, hey, man, I got this idea for some chicken wings, and they taste real good. Have you cooked them? Nope. Have you ate them? Nope. But I know a lot about chicken wings, and I need your money to do it. And I'm like, nah. But you have to learn that along the way,
Yeah.
We are happy to talk to Curtis Granderson, the 16-year Major League veteran, taking his time here with us on Rahimi and Harris on the Score with Russ Dorsey, talking about giving back to his foundation, the Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy, with the Youth Collector Clubs initiative. And I love how you talk about collecting baseball cards. I know my most valuable card that I ever had, at least to me. Do you guys know yours? I want to go around the horn.
Yeah, I got to hear yours first. Let's go.
Paul Molitor rookie card.
Oh, that's a nice one. I like it.
For me, that was as good as I got.
You know, you mentioned something about people coming up to me. I was a big Ken Griffey Jr. fan, but the one card that eluded me while collecting was the Upper Deck rookie. And somebody heard me say that, and instead of them asking for an autograph, they actually gave me that card. So I got that card late in life, like in the last 5 to 10 years, even though I was collecting Griffeys back in the 90s. So that's got to be my most valuable one.
What'd you do with it?
It's framed. It's in a little case, and my parents have it. They're actually cleaning out some stuff right now. I've just pulled all the cards. They're at home, so it's somewhere in that pile. I just got to filter through and pull all my Ken Griffeys, and my second favorite was David Justice. Those two are the ones I probably have the most of.
I didn't have a valuable card like you guys had. You guys were more fortunate than I, but I remember the day I pulled a Barry Bonds card as a kid, watching Barry, wanting to be in the big leagues, and it was just like, I don't care what the value of this is, I got a Barry Bonds card. And it was so cool because I was locked into baseball anyway, and collecting was something that kept me locked in, where now my career is baseball. Like your career was actually playing in the big leagues. And I think it's really cool to see how that small thing like collecting could be a lifetime of memories for somebody.
And it's cool just the things that you like I was a big basketball. I mean, got Chicago basketball, you know, MJ in the 90s, who couldn't be? But I was also an Alonzo Mourning fan, right? I have no affiliation to Georgetown or Charlotte, but I liked him. I liked his number, and I got a bunch of his cards, you know, Jerry Rice, you know, Joe Montana, Randall Cunningham. And I still had a jersey from Randall Cunningham, partly because of collecting the cards first. Then I remember being at Marshall's, and all of a sudden there was a Randall Cunningham jersey on the rack. I said, Mom, I got to get it. And I had that, and then we didn't frame it or keep it. We went outside and played in it. So all of a sudden it's tackle football in there, and Mom's yelling at me because I got grass stains all on the new jersey we just bought. But hey, I wanted to try to be like Randall that day. And all that stemmed from being a fan of the sports cards of it.
All right, I love it. I feel like that's how a lot of people were. Like, we didn't frame a jersey.
No.
We were out there wearing them to school. Did you have the Georgetown starter jacket then? You're of that era.
I did not have a Georgetown starter jacket. These are the two that I did had. I had, for some reason, that one that everybody had, that Charlotte Hornets one. I don't know how that ended up everywhere, but I had that one. And then randomly, I was a big Buffalo Bills fan. I had a starter pullover Buffalo Bills jacket. And how I became a Bills fan, I don't know, it was that first Super Bowl that they lost with the wide right. And I became a Buffalo Bills fan ever since. So Don Beebe, Thurman Thomas, Cornelius Bennett, Andre Reed, those were my guys. And those were other cards that I collected along the way.
I love the connection to the memories.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's super cool. Everybody knows you as being a Chicago guy, but more specifically, you're South Suburbs guy.
Yes.
And Linwood, I'm a Park Forest kid myself, and it's so cool because a lot of areas around Chicago get a lot of notoriety, not as much the South Burbs. And Layla, when Curtis was in the big leagues and I'm growing up and seeing, oh, this dude from Linwood, like, that's great, and went to TF South. I went to Ileana Christian.
Yeah, right there.
Right across the street on Torrance. It's super cool to see guys from your area. Who were the guys from the South Burbs that you knew of where you're like, oh man, this dude grew up right around this corner from where I did?
You know, it's so cool when you have these players you've heard about. They become mythical. They become like these iconic figures because you've heard about them, but you didn't necessarily see them. So Cliff Floyd was my guy. Cliff Floyd is at Thornwood High School, and the stories are he hit the ball out of the baseball stadium over the football field, and that was a normal thing. Now, I never saw it, but those were the stories and the images you had. So when I finally get a chance to meet Cliff, and I was like, that's one of my idols, right? That's who I wanted to be like. He's a left-handed hitting outfielder from the South Suburbs like me, and here's my chance to finally get a chance to meet and connect with him. So he was one. Mark Mulder, another one from there, another big name that ended up pitching and doing some great things. And again, just the basketball side of things. You know, I played against Eddie Curry. I played against D. Wade. I played against Corey Maggette and Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson. And I thought I was a good basketball player until I played against them. And I realized I was a better baseball player than I was a basketball player.
That's awesome. Like I played baseball with Mark Mulder's nephew at Ileana. Cliffy is the best. Man, for everybody out there, Cliff Floyd is elite human being, fun dude, stories for days. And we're about to do a show for MLB Network last year, and we're talking about basketball. And he tells me, I didn't know this at all. He was supposed to be part of the Fab Five class at Michigan.
He can hoop.
Layla. Like, I'm serious. So him and Juwan Howard were boys. And Juwan said, well, I'm bringing you wherever I go. Because Cliffy could do
Smart.
everything.
Yep.
Like, a lot of these guys, just great athletes all around. And they were taking visits, and Juwan decides, all right, I'm going to go to Michigan. Jalen Rose, all those guys that were up there. And Cliffy ended up getting drafted in the first round to the Expos and not going. But Cliffy was going to be a part of history in Michigan.
And you know, it's crazy. He's not the only one from that South suburbs that was just multi-talented. Him, Antoine Randall has a Super Bowl, was also drafted in baseball and also was all state in basketball. You know, Ty Streets was another guy. Melvin Eli, that whole Thornton class was there. And I always highlight and bring those names up because when you look at where we are today with parents trying to figure out what's the best things for their kids, I'm always going to point at play as many sports for as long as possible. It's going to translate. Look at this this last month's draft that happened a couple weeks ago. The first round were mostly shortstops. Why were they mostly shortstops? Those are the most athletic positions on the field. They can move around everywhere. And if you look at all the top players that have played, Aaron Judge played football. Mike Trout played football. Jacob deGrom had a basketball scholarship. Like, the best players on the field tend to be the most athletic. So why not play all of them for as long as you can? If baseball is the one, if football, if basketball, the cream will rise to the top. Like for me, baseball was my sport. You see how tall I am. I was not going to be an NBA guy no matter how big my hoop dreams were. But I thought I could, but I played that. I ran track, I bowled, I ran cross country. I did it all, and it all helped my major league career.
Love talking sports, giving back in life with Curtis Granderson. He is kind enough to give us a second segment here on 670 The Score. So I want to get into a little bit more about what your foundation does, because I think it is so important. Just helping people, especially right now, to talk about charity and giving really means a lot. It is a great contrast to what we're seeing. So we'll do that next. Ask him some baseball questions too. But Curtis Granderson, kind enough to join us here in Rahimi and Harris with Russ Dursey on The Score.